Welcome to Earthenkind Quests. My name is Mike. This episode of Nemesis Battles shares a flashback of a duel between an Eldritch Knight fighter and a Bladesinger wizard. At the time of the flashback activity, the Eldritch Knight and the Bladesinger were at level 5 using the rules in the 2024 Player's Handbook of Dungeons & Dragons. As with all of the episodes of Nemesis Battles, I will clarify what happens with the game mechanics and the story narrative while demonstrating in the 3D world builder and virtual tabletop system of RPG stories. For extra details about the characters, in the video text description, you can find the web links for the level 5 character sheets in D&D Beyond. You will notice that the Eldritch Knight and the Bladesinger are not fully optimized for combat. They represent the kinds of characters that I expect to meet in a campaign starting at level 1 and then making choices up through higher levels. I encourage to imagine what could be different with other character options. The Wood Elf Eldritch Knight fighter is named Eldritch. When she was at level 5, she was a dexterity-based melee combatant, using the two-weapon fighting style, the defensive duelist feat, and minimal spellcasting primarily for utility and defense. The ASMR Bladesinger wizard is named Sailor Moonglow. When she was at level 5, she was a dexterity-based melee combatant, using extra spellcasting powers as a wizard and extra defensive features as a Bladesinger. The main part of this episode will share a flashback to a time when the characters were at level 5. In the larger story, though, the characters now are at level 9. The Eldritch Knight, Eldritch, journeys toward the Spellsword Academy. Previously, she studied and lived here. She remembers her younger years as a student, when she first met with her arch-rival, the Bladesinger wizard, Sailor Moonglow. Over a period of some years, they developed a healthy respect for each other. Later, they became friends and allies. Reflecting back on the earlier years as rivals, Eldritch recognizes that the rivalry propelled and inspired both of these heroes to improve themselves to the best of their abilities. At this point in her life and career, Eldritch wants to contribute with training the next generations of students at the Spellsword Academy. Today she is on her way to make this proposal. Eldritch intends to meet with the current leader and director of the Academy, who happens to be her former rival and now friend, the Bladesinger wizard Sailor Moonglow. Eldritch meets with another 3 adventurers on their way to the Spellsword Academy. The Oath of Devotion Paladin, Bona Navan, and the Light Domain Cleric, Clara Cloudburn, are advanced students on their way back to the Academy to report about completing their final quest to graduate from the Academy. They travel with their new friend and adventuring companion, the Wildheart Barbarian, Anna Maul. Soon, Eldritch finds herself entertaining questions from these 3 heroes. They ask about what happened during the early years when Eldritch and Sailor Moonglow were arch-rivals at the Spellsword Academy. Eldritch shares the story of when she was a young student. She was admitted into the Academy later than usual. The other students of her age group already were more advanced with their magical training. Eldritch had been gaining practical experience as an investigator of mysteries in the Woodland realm. For this reason, she came to the Academy later than most of the Academy directors would have preferred for learning about the magical arts. The more advanced students teased, pranked, and provoked her. The most frequent such events involved the top-performing student and darling of the Academy, the Bladesinger wizard Sailor Moonglow. The Bladesinger by far exceeded the Eldritch Knight's spellcasting power. Nonetheless, Sailor Moonglow recognized that among all of the students at the Academy, the Eldritch Knight Eldritch was unmatched as a fast-moving and acrobatic melee combatant. The Bladesinger no longer could be the most accomplished student in this style. Despite their several unlicensed skirmishes and visits with the Academy Disciplinary Office, Eldritch and Sailor Moonglow were granted the opportunity to advance up to the next level of their Academy training. In order to do so, however, first they must face each other in a formal duel, in public view at the Spellsword Academy. In this way, ideally they could learn more about respecting each other's abilities. On the day of the formal duel, the Eldritch Knight fighter Eldritch and the Bladesinger wizard Sailor Moonglow meet at the central area of the Academy campus, around the statue of the Academy founder. The campus has undergone many transformations over the centuries, yet the one constant feature always has been the statue of the Academy founder. A crowd gathers to witness the duel. The Academy directors assemble to preside over the event. The 2 duelists are instructed to stand 50 feet apart from each other. At the last moment, the Bladesinger requests that she should be granted the courtesy of preparing her blade song as her signature feature. Otherwise, the circumstances of this duel are balanced unfairly in favor of the Eldritch Knight, who probably will act first and then make multiple weapon attacks so rapidly that the Bladesinger never will be able to activate her primary feature of her blade song. The Eldritch Knight fighter Eldritch notices that most of the people in the crowd and among the Academy directors already are nodding their heads in agreement with the Bladesinger's proposal. In this case, Eldritch announces that she will accept this condition. Sailumunglo uses a bonus action to begin her blade song. For the next 1 minute, she increases her movement speed, her armor class, and her constitution saving throws to maintain concentration on her spells. Additionally, she rolls with advantage for her acrobatics skill checks. The duel cannot be delayed for any longer. The two combatants roll for initiative. The Eldritch Knight rolls 27. The Bladesinger rolls 9. The Eldritch Knight will act first, followed by the Bladesinger. In round 1, the Eldritch Knight fighter Eldritch uses a bonus action to cast Jump on herself with a first level spell slot. Throughout the next 1 minute, once during each of her turns, the Eldritch Knight can use 10 feet of her movement to jump 30 feet. With her base movement of 35 feet and the jump spell, Eldritch can move a total of 55 feet toward her opponent. She needs only 50 feet to enter into melee contact. The Eldritch Knight begins with her flurry of weapon attacks. The first attack is with her scimitar. The attack roll is 26, hitting against the Bladesinger's armor class of 19 and too high to be blocked by a shield spell. The scimitar causes the minimum of 5 slashing damage. The Nick weapon mastery of the scimitar allows an additional attack with a different weapon in another hand. Eldritch makes this Nick attack with her short sword. The attack roll is 12, missing against the armor class of 19. Sailumunglo scoffs at the weak attack. The next regular attack is with the short sword again. The result of 20 scores a critical hit, hitting against any target and doubling the damage dice. The critical hit produces 10 piercing damage. The short sword applies the Vex weapon mastery, granting advantage on the next attack against this target. The Bladesinger retains only 12 of her total 27 hit points. Eldritch evaluates the situation. She decides to use her action surge, getting another 2 attacks. The next attack is with the short sword, rolling with advantage of the Vex. The attack roll is 18, missing against the armor class of 19. The Vex weapon mastery is lost for now. The Eldritch Knight makes her final attack of this turn using her short sword. The attack roll is 19, ordinarily hitting against the armor class of 19. The Bladesinger uses her reaction to cast Shield with a first level spell slot, boosting her armor class up to 24 and blocking the attack. The Eldritch Knight expects that her opponent, the Bladesinger Wizard, will use teleportation or invisibility or maybe flight to gain extra distance. In this case, as part of the attack with her short sword just now, Eldritch unequips her scimitar. She is preparing for the possibility during her next turn of needing to switch to use her backup weapon of a sling for a ranged attack. The Bladesinger Wizard, Sailumunglo, starts her turn with 12 of her total 27 hit points. Among her many options, the Bladesinger decides to use her action to cast Hold Person, using a second level spell slot. Eldritch rolls a wisdom saving throw to avoid becoming paralyzed. A surprising result of 20 succeeds. Eldritch resists the Hold Person spell. As a bonus action, Sailumunglo begins her Celestial Revelation as an ASMR. She chooses the option of Heavenly Wings. During the next 1 minute, Sailumunglo gains a flying speed equal to her walking speed. Additionally, once during each of her turns, she can add 3 points of radiant damage when damaging one target. The Bladesinger begins to fly upward. When she exits the reach of the Eldritch Knight, then she provokes an opportunity attack. The Bladesinger's speedy feat, though, imposes disadvantage on opportunity attacks. The disadvantage attack roll with the short sword is 13, missing against the armor class of 19. The Bladesinger continues to fly upward with her full movement of 50 feet. At the end of round 1, the Eldritch Knight fighter so far is unharmed, while the Bladesinger Wizard is suffering with a fair amount of damage. Now that the Bladesinger is flying high above the battlefield, though, the Eldritch Knight will need to think creatively about how to persevere through this duel. In round 2, the Eldritch Knight fighter Eldritch glances around the battlefield, and rapidly she decides how to proceed. The Eldritch Knight moves over to the adjacent building. With her active jump spell, she leaps up to the rooftop. While standing on the roof area, Eldritch uses an interaction with an object to unequip her short sword. As part of the attack action, she draws out her backup weapon of a sling, as she had anticipated might be necessary. She can ascertain that she is within the regular 30-foot range of using her sling to attack the flying opponent. I should note that the sling is not the best ranged weapon. A more optimal choice would be a short bow, allowing for a longer range of attack, higher damage output per hit, and the Vex weapon mastery to gain advantage on the next attack roll against the same target. Continuing with the attack action, the first sling attack roll is 24, hitting against the armor class of 19 and too high to be blocked by a shield spell. The sling bullet causes 7 bludgeoning damage. The slow weapon mastery slows the Bladesinger's movement by 10 feet. The second attack roll is 20, ordinarily hitting the Bladesinger, but the Bladesinger uses her reaction to cast Shield once again with a first level spell slot. The shield spell boosts the armor class up to 24, blocking the sling bullet. Eldritch uses her remaining movement to step away from the edge of the rooftop and into a safer position. The Bladesinger wizard, Sailor Moonglow, starts her turn with only 5 of her total 27 hit points. She is tempted to cast Fireball at her opponent, but she knows that Eldritch is nimble and likely will succeed with a dexterity saving throw to avoid half of the damage. Moreover, Sailor Moonglow and Eldritch both attended the same training course for learning the spell Absorb Elements that could reduce fire damage by half. The Bladesinger decides to use her action to cast Scorching Ray, upcasting with her maximum 3rd level spell slot. She sends 4 rays of fire at the Eldritch Knight. She makes 4 spell attack rolls, targeting against the Eldritch Knight's armor class of 16. The 4 attack rolls are 16, a natural 20 for a critical hit, 17, and 18. With 3 hits and 1 critical hit, the Scorching Rays produce a total of 39 fire damage. The Eldritch Knight uses her reaction to upcast Absorb Elements as predicted, reducing the damage down to 19. Sailor Moonglow adds another 3 points of radiant damage as part of her Celestial Revelation feature as an ASMR. Sailor Moonglow continues to fly upward. Her movement was slowed by 10 feet due to the slow weapon mastery of the Eldritch Knight's sling bullet. In this case, the Bladesinger flies 40 feet upward. At the end of round 2, the Bladesinger is attempting to fly outside the range of the Eldritch Knight's most effective weapon attacks. The Eldritch Knight will need to think of a new plan and enact it quickly. In round 3, the Eldritch Knight fighter, Eldritch, starts her turn with 17 of her total 39 hit points. The Bladesinger is flying outside the regular range of a sling attack, and attack rolls at this far range would be with disadvantage and very likely would miss against the Bladesinger's high armor class, especially when the Bladesinger uses the shield spell. Right now would be a good time to be equipped with a short bow. Eldritch uses her bonus action of her second wind. She regains 10 hit points. As part of the second wind, the fighter can move up to half of her speed without opportunity attacks. She uses this speed and most of her regular movement to step over to the adjacent structure and to run up to this higher rooftop. With her final 10 feet of movement, she wants to use her active jump spell to jump upward, bringing herself barely within the 30-foot range of making 1 sling attack. In this case, she cannot use her regular second attack, and she will make only 1 attack with the sling before she will start to fall back downwards. Eldritch makes the vertical jump, moving 30 feet upwards. She makes her 1 sling attack. The attack roll is 24, and it cannot be blocked by a shield spell. The sling bullet delivers 8 bludgeoning damage. The Bladesinger wizard Sailor Moonglow falls to 0 hit points. She is unconscious and incapacitated. The Eldritch Knight and the Bladesinger begin to fall. As a reaction, though, Eldritch uses her final first-level spell slot to cast the spell Featherfall, affecting not only herself, but also her opponent. The 2 duelists both descend gently downwards. Immediately, the Academy healers rush onto the scene. They stabilize and heal the Bladesinger. The Eldritch Knight fighter, Eldritch, has won this Nemesis battle. She has learned, though, that her opponent can be more formidable than what she had expected. Meanwhile, the Bladesinger wizard, Sailor Moonglow, gains more respect for the Eldritch Knight. Moreover, the Eldritch Knight granted the courtesy for the Bladesinger to activate her blade song first before the duel. The Eldritch Knight and the Bladesinger both replay the duel in their minds, considering how they could have made different decisions and about how their luck could have been better or worse. After sharing this story with her traveling companions, Eldritch appreciates how much her life has changed during these last years. The Eldritch Knight Fighter, the Oath of Devotion Paladin, the Light Domain Cleric, and the Wildheart Barbarian arrive at the newest version of the campus of the Spellsword Academy. The current leader and director, Sailor Moonglow, emerges to greet them, announcing a pleasant welcoming. Our story will continue with Nemesis Battles. For now, in the comment section, please share your ideas and suggestions about what could have happened differently and what could happen during other episodes. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.